kind of one of the main products or the hot topic items that we see on dispensary shelves nowadays are concentrate products. It's like waxes, shatters, oils, tinctures, live resins, distillates, vape cartridge oil, right? There's a plethora of different products out there. So I was wondering if you guys could maybe give me a bit of a view from 10,000 feet about how these products are made. What's the generic refining process, so to speak? What goes into making a wax compared to an oil, for example?
Like the ones you mentioned, like shatter, oils, and batters, things like that. Those are usually that's post-processing technique that usually gets you to that consistency. That's the difference.
Okay.
Usually it's the same starting extraction like method, and it really is post-processing technique that kind of takes you that extra step further.
I see. So you start with a raw plant, you do your extraction one, and then that pulls all the terpenes, all the cannabinoids out of the plant, and then you turn and further refine that, and that's what gives you a shatter versus a wax versus an oil.
Yeah, or a diamond or whatever it is. We're manipulating the way that, in this case, the solvent that we're using is butane, kind of manipulating the way that we can off gas the butane, how quickly, and things like that, and that kind of dictates what the end consistency is going to be.
And when you do that first extraction, that first pull out of the raw plant material, do you guys test that product for residual solvents, or do you go through your full refining process first and then have the final product tested?
So we'll go through the whole process first, and then we'll get the final product tested.
Okay.
Mainly because if we were to get it tested right after the extraction, it's always going to test over 5,000 parts per million.
Okay.
During the post-processing techniques is usually when the butane actually evaporates or off gases.
And so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to test when it's going to fail kind of early on, right? And then
Yeah, not to test for residual solvents until like basically we're confident that we're at that lower parts per million.
Okay.
Which we have all of our methods down pretty well, so we kind of have a really good feel for where we're going to land when we send a test result out.
Ultimately you're using something like a vacuum purge or heat and time to clear that butane out, right?
Yeah, so like with the shatter, we'll use a vacuum oven.
Okay.
So like we'll get like 100 degrees, and we'll take a vacuum on it, and basically it'll turn the oil into like a shatter type of consistency versus like that wet battery kind of consistency that you see a lot, or like the sugar, the terp sugar that we'll have.
Okay.
Those ones are not utilized with vacuum. So
Okay.
really shatter is one of the few consistencies where we actually use the vacuum part of the oven. For other consistencies, we actually just use heat and agitation and time
Yep.
to get down to the parts per million level that we feel is acceptable.